Like, I'm not telling you you've never seen a game store like this. I'm telling you, somebody else come and find me and see if you can pair me up with anyone else who has this energy.
So we could start off by talking about where you grew up, how you got into gaming. And
Cool.
I know the game store essentially is tied into various sectors. So you've got comics, you've got cards, you've got games like miniatures. So from that perspective, that's usually, takes a while for any store starting off on the ground floor to get to that point. But if we could pull it back the curtain a little bit and just start with, how did it get to that point? And what was it like in the beginning?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm actually from Canada. I'll quickly adjust. Our store is here in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, but I myself am from Canada. And I've always been into comics and gaming, really since I can remember, between Nintendo 64 games and learning about superheroes. And then all of a sudden I was reading them in my local comic shop, get older. And I met my wife and moved down here to Mississippi, and her brother and father wanted to open a comic book store and kind of invited me in as well. And then there's 4 of us as ownership, and that kind of spearheaded it. Was my love and my passion for, RPGs, miniature games, Warhammer, Magic, Pokemon. I did all that my entire life. Got down here and had the opportunity to actually own and run and then do a game store myself. Yeah.
And which of the 3 things, because I know you rattled off Magic, I know you rattled off comics, which is your favorite till this day?
Ooh, I always tell people that if I have like 3 hours to play a game, what am I playing in the store? And honestly, it's probably Warhammer. I really enjoy the atmosphere and the vibe of that kind of game. It's very personal, a one-on-one kind of game. We're there for literally hours, have a beer, hang out, roll dice, just chit chat. It's very relaxed, very fun. I enjoy it, the hobby aspect, everything to it. I do really enjoy Magic. It's probably my second favorite. If I'm going to play a card game, it's probably Magic. Just the competitive nature in me, I enjoy that as well, because it's probably the card game in the world, to be honest. There's nothing that really compares to it. Once you know that game, it's just phenomenal.
What's the biggest difference between the 2 games, would you say?
So Warhammer, I think, really is, you can play competitively, which is fun. You can go to tournaments. We host those here. And they're, from 10 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, and people are playing for hundreds of dollars. It's a blast. You can be competitive there, but you can also be competitive in Magic. I actually think they're one and the same a little bit, where you can play Magic as competitive as you want, or you can be super casual, which a lot of games don't really offer that. They're very much one or the other. And Magic and Warhammer are kind of in tandem, where, again, I can just collect and build and paint, or I can just collect my favorite elf deck and play it against my buddies at the kitchen table. Or I can come up to the store and do an RCQ for a regional championship qualifier and try to get invited to the Magic World Tournament stuff. So both of them offer each aspect, which I enjoy.
And when you consider the store, and as we mentioned, those sectors that you have the store fleshed out in, what was the first thing that the store started with? Was it comics, or was it something else?
So the previous guy who owned Vans, he'd owned it for 20 years exactly, and we purchased it from him on his 20th anniversary. He had been a longtime family friend of our family, and basically said he wanted out of it. He did it for 20 years. He was kind of done with it, and offered it to us, knowing that our whole family, myself included, we were all into this stuff. So we buy it, and he had it very focused on comics. That's why it was Vans, comics, cards, and games. When we took over, we were really more gamers, I think, than comics, even though we'd all read comics and I had a subscription and everything. It was very Magic based. So if I had to answer what game really did we focus on and kick everything off with, it was probably Magic for sure.
Did you always think you'd be running a game store? Was that something that was always on your radar, or did you do something before the game store that eventually led into you becoming a part of it?
Honestly, I'd played in game stores my whole life, between, old school Hero Clicks and Warhammer and playing Magic. And then it was never on the radar. I never even made it a possibility in my head that I could one day do this, which was cool, because then when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, oh my God, yes. So I took everything I loved from other game stores and things I didn't like, and we wanted to kind of pull it all together and make just a really, really cool experience. Plenty of people who have traveled and visited here have made comments how they've really never seen a game store like this, which, yeah, if we get to chatting about what is the store like, I'll kind of give a quick description of it.
Sure, we could definitely go into that. I think this is like a perfect point to do that, since we're,
Sure.
talking about the origin of it and how it
Yeah.
really came to be. So I think that's a great place to go.
Awesome. So let's start with comics. It's in the name. It's the first thing that we reference in our brand. So comic wise in our store, there's close to about 80 to 100,000 unique back issues. We do subscriptions. We have everything from the first appearance of Thor and Hulk and Wolverine and everything crazy to just current books that literally came out last week. So that's kind of the comic part. Tons and tons of variety, discounts, anything you can imagine. We've probably got it. And you could browse it, check it all out. So cards, probably next. Like I said, we do Magic a lot. It's probably our focus, our main game. I have a wall that's in the store. It's not near me. It's over this way. But it's 12 feet long and about 12 feet tall of just every box of Magic you can imagine. There's Urza's Saga packs. We have singles galore. I have storage units with literally over 1 million singles in it. In the store, there's binders, an online store, everything of every variant you could possibly imagine. We have it in Magic here in the building. We also have a ton of Pokemon. We do Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Union Arena this Sunday. That's going to be coming out. If it's a big card game, we do it. We really try to pride ourselves that if we're going to host your game and carry your game, we want to do it the best possible, which I guess then leads me still in cards in the gaming side. Our play space for something like card games is probably around 1,500 to 2,000 square feet of just tables to play card games. You can squeeze 100 people in there. You can extend that. The entire store is on these really kind of unique modular roller shelves where everything can be rechanged around in minutes, and I can squeeze up to 300-400 people in the building for Yu-Gi-Oh! Regional or whatever we're trying to do. Warhammer tables, we have 10 6x4 full-size wooden tables that are also on rollers with display shelving all around them for terrain. It's absolutely insane. So math-wise, the store is about 6,000 square feet. There's a full bar inside, so you can come in and get beer and drinks and snacks. And I guess lastly, comics, cards, games. One of the coolest features in gaming, we also own all the Papa John's in the area. So I bring free pizza to every event. You can just eat as much as you want. Yeah.
That's amazing. That really caught me off guard because I was going to ask you, and you answered already, the square footage of the store. But to then hear you own all the Papa John's in the area, that's unbelievable. So how did that play into the mix? When did you guys acquire that?
So when I got down here, my wife, her family, the other owners that I'm going in on all this with, they owned all the Papa John's here in the Jackson area. So that's been a thing they've been doing for a very long time, doing very well with it, and dabble in tons of other businesses. We recently also bought a bar called Black Axes. So it's a kind of a black axe throwing bar, food, drink, restaurant. So we'll do deals and things where if you're playing in a Warhammer tournament after hours and you've been up here for 7 hours throwing dice, you can go over there and have a beer and a Philly cheesesteak, get some wings, whatever. So we branch out. We do a lot of stuff. This is just one of the things that we really try to do fun here is if we're going to be a game store, I want it to just be the perfect game store. That was the goal.
And Travis, I have to say, it seems like this is a family venture based on what you described. And it's been like that since the beginning. I mean, you kept the old store name for and you said Van was a family friend.
Yeah, he was a family friend, and we thought we had the opportunity to change it, but again, he'd established himself here for 20 years. He had so many comics and fans of this genre that he'd created and helped foster that it just felt right that even though we're taking it over, little homage to him. You know what I mean? He started it all 20 years ago. So
I think that's really cool. I mean, you're pretty much carrying the legacy of what he started. How many years now, I should say, has the store been in business for since he left it?
Yeah, so this is our 8th year, and he had it for 20. We're at 8, so yeah, 28 in total for the brand. really as a whole. He did a couple years at old flea markets before he opened a physical location. So it's probably really close to 30 years. Vans, comics, cards, and games has been around, really.
Wow, that's truly unbelievable. Just to think of that many. I haven't talked to many stores that have been in business overall that long of a
Yeah.
period from a game store standpoint. So very cool to see what you guys are building essentially, and you're almost seems like you're constantly adding to it. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. So every year, I try to up it in some manner. And by me, it's really, it's a team effort. So my other guys, between my staff, the other ownership, they'll come up with an idea. Hey, I think we should do this. I think we should do this. And, we'll run it through the mill and make it work. For example, our 8th anniversary coming up, September 14th. So it's in like a month from now. We're going to do an entire carnival outside of our store in our parking lot. So I have a dunking booth. We have bounce houses everywhere, cotton candy. There's a pony ride. There's an animal farm we're bringing out. We're literally going to make a carnival for the customers for free. They can just come out, grab some cotton candy, some hamburgers, hot dogs, do the petting zoo, throw water balloons at me in a dunking booth for charity. It's literally insane. Like, I'm not telling you you've never seen a game store like this. I'm telling you, somebody else come and find me and see if you can pair me up with anyone else who has this energy.
Travis, I'm telling you, I want to get on a plane right now and come
Yeah.
to Mississippi. Just hearing this sounds unbelievable. Like, so we have carnivals out where I am.
Yeah.
But to hear a game store putting this on, I've talked to other stores, they have the restaurant inside their store as well.
Sure, yeah.
And I know not all stores, can afford to do that, but obviously you guys are in a fortunate position where you can. But I mean, it's just the layers and layers of stuff that you're able to do. I mean, a carnival, owning the Papa John's, the restaurant, it's just truly fascinating to me. Originally you think over time that these types of things obviously increase the costs of doing business, but you must have a groundswell of support from the community in that area that has really enabled all this.
Yeah, people, the community here is crazy. I always tell people, like, literally, if it wasn't for them, we couldn't do this. It's not that I'm, losing money doing this by any means. It's just literally, if you give back, you let people know that this is really a business you're trying to run correctly. I'm not the game store guy sitting behind the counter playing World of Warcraft while you come in and we ignore you. My entire priority is you. So when you're in the store, I'm asking you, what's your hobby? What can I help you with? Oh, you want paint advice on how to do your new Blood Angel army? Everybody on the staff knows how to paint. Everybody knows how to play Magic. And we're not there to tell you about our deck. We're there to ask you what we can do for your deck. We're there to ask you about your army. And I think that's the big difference. A lot of game stores, sometimes blend the lines a little too close, that the game store is for the gamers. I'm here to help them. I'm not here to help me and fuel my own hobby. My goal is to make a good experience for somebody else. So that's my job.
That's a great direction, a great philosophy to have too. I mean, how many people do you have employed at the store to handle all of these various projects you're doing?
Yeah, so right now there is 6 of us employed. That does not include the other owners, which sometimes they come by and they'll help me with a large event. The carnival, for example, we'll probably everybody will be out there that day. It'll be a little bit crazier than I probably expect. But yeah, there's 6 of us who really run everything, and I really hire based on what do you know? What is your zone? What can I give you and kind of give you the reins and let you run? And then I kind of take their feedback and I let them do their thing. And yeah.
What's the restaurant like? I was wondering if you can go a little bit more detail about that.
Yeah, so the restaurant Black Axes, it's not directly connected to this building per se, but it is our brand. It is us. It's an axe throwing bar where you can get, again, chicken wings. We have some arcade machines in there, hamburgers, hot dogs. And it's just a kind of a different vibe. So if you wanted to go in there and, have a date night, that's really cool. We theme it the same way as Vans. So again, everybody who works there, it's all the same training regiment. We try to do customer first. It's all about their experience. So it's just a bar that's ran by us that has the same energy and vibe. Yeah.
That's just so much fun. You've really got something for everyone. Like if gaming's not your thing, you can go to a bar and axe throw.
Yeah.
Just to have that variety. Most of the time you think of game store, you think the card games, you think the board games, you think Warhammer, and you have all of that. Yeah. And then some.
Yeah, we our goal somewhere within the next 2 years is to expand this physical building to somewhere around maybe 12,000 feet, buy out a couple of units next to us. And we want to add an entire arcade in there with a full restaurant then attached to vans specifically. So in vans at the moment, you can come in. We have beer fridges, you can get drinks, etc. But we want to have a full bar ready to roll with food in there, and it's just completely neon lights, absolutely crazy looking, and doing a full arcade inside of there as well.
This is blowing my mind. I mean, you guys are essentially a variety store. I mean, I've never seen something this big of this type of an operation. Like, how do you manage all of this? Like, how do you keep it all in sync? And I know there's a number of you, like you mentioned, running it. So if you can break into like your responsibilities day to day and what the other partners do day to day.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with me. I'm probably the most common here in the store. So really what I try to focus on is making sure timelines don't get missed. If we have a new release of a game coming up, I'm checking in with the staff and making sure they've scheduled it, making sure we have it ordered, making sure we understand how prize support should work. So when you come into the building, everybody's experience as a customer, when you get here, we've already thought of everything. How many prizes you're going to get? Is there free pizza? Is it here at 7 o'clock? Is it here at 8 o'clock? When do the rounds end? So my goal is really just micromanaging a whole bunch of little things from ordering to making sure the events run smooth, teaching the staff everything from, eBay, TCG Player, how to run Event Link for Magic, how to run a Yu-Gi-Oh! Regional, anything you can think of, how to buy vintage Star Wars toy collections. What are those things worth? I just try to micromanage and drop my knowledge here and there on every employee, and really keep up with social media as well. That's a big part of it, between TikToks, Facebook, Instagram, Discord, answering questions in our Discord channel about every possible thing we do. Yeah.
How many employees are there total, and do you have them like siloed into various aspects of the business? Like, I'm thinking almost off the top of my head here.
Yeah.
Are some people dedicated to like the carnival right now? Are others dedicated to like, the restaurant, like that type of thing? Or if you're wanting to work for the game store, you're working just for the game store?
Correct. Yeah. So for the game store, we would specifically hire you just for that. It doesn't mean we wouldn't, someday we're super busy and we need you to go help out at the restaurant. I'm sure it could happen, but we always try to plan ahead. Anybody who works for us is trained on everything. So if you are working here, you know how to do the comic book pulls, you know how to order a board game, you can explain how to paint Warhammer, you can teach Magic, you can play around a Digimon with somebody. So any person who works here does it all. So I do a lot of, like I said, the social media is probably the thing I'm most active with. That's what I maintain, and then I drop my knowledge and detail everywhere else. Some of the guys just do all of our online stuff as a primary focus. So multiple times a week, they'll spend hours on just uploading cards to our TCG page. Some people will just help manage Discord. Some of them will do the comic polls and ordering for that, or run our manga club. So everybody has specific tasks, but they're still all trained on everything in the store. None of us here don't know how to do everything. We all can do everything. Yeah.
So it's pretty well-rounded operation. You don't have to be like, oh, this is the person who just does Magic and that's all that they could do. They have the ability to do anything where they're needed, basically.
Yeah, and what's crazy is you don't have to know what the best deck is in Magic. You don't have to know if you've ever played, Catan. How does the rule set work for that? As long as you can explain to people, hey, I've sold 1 million copies of Catan. I'm assuming it's a good game. I have enough faith if you buy that game, you will also probably like it. Versus just lying to them and being like, oh, I don't know. I really love Catan when I'm playing it. And then they're like, just be honest with people. There's no point. Not every gamer is going to know every game. We're not going to know absolutely everything. So being honest with the customers is a big thing. And me, by training all the staff on how to do everything in general, allows them to be more honest with people. So if you never actually played Yu-Gi-Oh, but you sell the heck out of it, just tell people that, hey, this is the box everybody's buying. For some reason, there's some really great hits in it. We've looked up the value. It's going for a lot. We're selling it for less. You should probably pick one up. That goes a lot further than just lying and saying, you know how to play the new Exodia deck, and just bullying them. Yeah.
What is most popular at your store in terms of the games offered?
It's Magic, hands down. It's kind of the game. If your store does Magic, you know it. Next is probably Warhammer, but just in terms of players in the store, you could come here at any time and get a game of Magic. There's guys playing Commander. There's somebody practicing for a modern RCQ coming up. Maybe you're doing draft on Friday with us. There's always something for Magic.
Are the events always hitting max capacity, or is it vary from day to day?
It kind of varies from day to day, but on average, if we're doing a Friday Night Magic here in Jackson, Mississippi, obviously other stores, if you're in downtown a city or out in the middle of nowhere, your attendance will be different. But for us, we pretty much cap out every single time. In our game area, like I said, you could seat 100 people, but sometimes people have bags, they have extra space. You're not going to always be jammed next to each other. There'd be an average of, 50, 60 people in the building just playing card games, another 15 to 20 doing, RPG sessions or playing Warhammer. And then you got all the guys walking around shopping, looking at, everything we offer.
How do you feel about the area that you're in Mississippi? Because it seems like you obviously have the community, you have the player base, going back to Van's time with the store and how long it's been around. But how do you feel the area attributes to that growing player base and that growing community that you're creating?
So area-wise, where I grew up in Toronto, up in Canada, there was a lot of game stores. You could pretty much go anywhere and find anywhere to play. And I got to pick which one I enjoyed the most. That's where I would go and hang out. Here, there are game stores. There's not as many as a large area like that. So our goal was really to just offer the best experience and let players choose with their own time and money where they'd like to go. Because at the end of the day, you're the one working the job. Maybe you're tired. You just want to get out of the house, go do a game and hang out, have some free pizza or something. I'd like to be that first option. And if I can be that for you and people enjoy it, then that's awesome. There were a few other game stores in the area that we got along with very well. And they eventually kind of homogenized into us, and we purchased them and kind of absorbed that, took their knowledge, their inventory, expanded again. So we're not going anywhere. I have children. The other owners have children. This will be definitely, a lifetime event for me, which is a lot of fun. And I'm excited to, pass the torch one day, and hopefully they learn from myself and the other guys and grow it even more.
Is it one of those things you have to pinch yourself sometimes, like to think of what you had said in the beginning about being invited in to be an owner of the store compared to what you were doing prior to that, and to see where it's come to now? Is it ever like, holy mackerel? Yeah,
there's moments. It's going to sound weird, but you almost get like desensitized to it at this point. For me, at least, because it'll be so busy in here, and that's just the day. Today, it's a Saturday or it's a Thursday night. This is what Thursdays are. But there are a few events we'll do every year, whether it's a Comic-Con after party, a carnival, anything like that. We just did a Harry Potter birthday party, and it was insane. We hung up 300 floating candles in the store and decorated everything and had potions class and all this just insanity that you're not going to find this at any other comic shop. And I'll stand there for a minute while there's a DJ playing live music with a disco ball in the store. There's 300 people. There's people dancing. There's people outside playing cornhole and beer pong. And you're just like, what is happening? So yeah, that's probably the pinch moment for me, is when I see just the absolute insanity that we've created for a comic book game store.
If you were to take a step back and say the game store was not something that was handed down to you guys, I'm really curious, do you feel that what you've been able to build it up to would still exist, or do you think things would have had to have gone in a different direction? Say the name Vans wasn't as prominent in the area as it was, or Van never had the store, or actually even better yet, he still had the store, and it was you and your other partners wanting to start up a new one. Do you think you would still go in the same direction you've been going?
Absolutely. I think it's the easiest question ever, because at the end of the day, any job you do is really just customer service. It's the same thing. Getting somebody a pizza to their door, if it's there on time, they're going to remember that. The next time they want to order a pizza, hey, those guys were quick. I'm going to get my pizza from them. Hey, every time I go in that store, they help me. They show me what I need. They have a great stock of stuff. I think just if we had to restart fresh, it's a no-brainer. It'd be the same result. Everything we do tends to just be successful, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to, toot the horn, but it's like once you realize it really is just service. And as soon as you do that correctly, you can literally run any business. It is not about me at all at any point. It is 100% about the customer and their experience. When your store realizes that, you will do better. If you don't, I hate to say it, that's sometimes where, people close down, or, hey, we can't bring this in. We don't have enough enough capital at the moment to buy the new set. And yeah, my advice would be step back, take a look at your store, do everything you can for your customer. They're the most important thing.
Do you do a carnival every single year, or is this just something new that's starting to be brought into the mix?
That's just this year. This year we were going to do a carnival. Next year we'll do something crazier and bigger. We never try to throw the same party twice. It's kind of our thing. So every year we've just kind of grown it. And I remember, even the first year we took over the business. We had literally like 8 board games on our shelf. We had very little Magic, very little Warhammer. We just started in because Van, when he left, he took everything with him. So we were just, starting fresh. And realistically, that's kind of why the question previous was easy to answer. Is we had nothing when we started. We just had the name. And the name doesn't make you money. The customer service makes you money. That's what helps you grow. So same thing. When we do these parties, they're not about us generating sales that day. It's nothing about that. It's 100% a throwback to everybody who plays here. It's an event for them. So this year they're getting a giant carnival. Next year, I don't know. It'll be something wild. I know for our 10th anniversary, we kind of have that already planned. We're going to do something wild, but I can't go through that yet. But yeah, this year it's a carnival.
Are you anticipating people that may not know about the game store to come to the carnival? Is it one of those things? Like, for an example, I know around here, whenever we have carnivals, like it's advertised around, and they're usually held at one of the firehouses in the area that have a whole bunch of land available. So I was curious if you expect, like, outside of people within the community, people outside the community that live in the area coming as well.
Yeah, probably. Again, I've already just started the advertising on it. I try to do stuff, a decent amount of time out so folks can get ready for it. Typically with these ads as well, I don't have them targeted at just people who follow our store. It's just in the general area of the public. So if anybody sees it, they're more than welcome to come out. Like I said, grab a hot dog and some cotton candy, a lemonade, check it all out. And typically from there, they get what we're doing. You can feel the vibe between all the staff, the environment, that, this is really a community hub. If you were trying to find a group to play D&D, this is where you'd find it. You want to have a drink and chat about Pokemon cards. It's cool that you can come in here, have a beer, sit down with your buddies, and open packs of Pokemon. It's insane. But it's also super family friendly. And that's what I'm also hoping to gather from this is people who come here who maybe haven't been to Vans, they realize, oh my God, these guys have pony rides, but they also can serve beer at their Magic tournament. It's really a shop for everybody.
From a revenue standpoint, do you feel the restaurant helps out the game store? Because, I've mentioned it on the show before that most people know that the margins in game stores aren't that high, and you have the luxury of these other avenues to help feed potential revenue in. Do you utilize any of those other properties like the Papa John's or the restaurant to help out and level things out with the game store at all?
Yeah, I try to cross brand it between myself and the other GM who does the restaurant side, where we'll put up in the axe lanes. We have like a little Vans logo at the top of it that just mentions where this exact location is and what we buy, sell, trade, offer, etc. And then over here, like I said, if we do a certain tournament, we'll give everybody like a coupon to go over there for a free appetizer after the tournament if they join. So I do a little bit of cross branding with that. Stuff like I'll give you an example, Lego. So Lego has not a great rate on it at all. It's actually really, really terrible. But I stock, a couple $1,000s in Lego in the store that we don't make a lot of money on, but it's cool because I carry their brand. And if you want to shop Lego, come in here and take a look. I buy the newest stuff. We have it in here. Some of them are, ways to invite people into the store who might not naturally shop here. So they come in, they check out the Lego, and they're like, oh, wow, they got the new Mandalorian ship. They take a look on their left, and there's a giant box of Donruss football sport cards, and they know their dad loves collecting sport cards. Oh my God, I'm so glad I came in here. This is awesome. And now they're into sport cards. Or they see that we do a kids learn to play Pokemon, on Saturdays at 2:00. They're like, wow, I got kids. They love Pokemon. I didn't know. And so we brand with a bunch of different stuff to help attract you in.
I wanted to touch on something that you brought up earlier, which caught my interest, and that's the understanding the customer service aspect of things and how some stores or just some businesses even in general don't always understand that concept. So I was wondering, from your vantage point, what is it about what your store is doing that you think from a customer service standpoint, because we can obviously go into the cliches, but you're
Sure.
doing something clearly different and it's resonating. So I'm wondering, what is it that your store does that maybe the
Yeah.
others aren't doing?
Um, an easy example, I guess, would be when you walk in most businesses, you can go in anywhere and, an employee will approach you, whether it's at a car dealership or you're at, a restaurant or something. And it's, hey, what can I get for you? And typically the answer is, I'm just looking, I'm just browsing. Thanks. I'm good. Okay. And then the employee just says, all right, well, let me know if you need something. And they walk away. We try to avoid that. Here's a really easy one. Hey, what can I help you with? I'm just looking, let me take a look around. I'll get with you guys if I need something. Okay. What do you collect? I collect Magic. Awesome. What kind of deck do you play? That's it there. It's that simple. And that's what a lot of stores miss, because again, it's only ever about me, the comic store guy. I'm the comic book dude. It's my comic book store. No, it's their store. You should ask them about what they collect. That tends to work a little bit better.
I've heard a similar thing from another game store owner before, and it's worked for him as well. It's the not doing just a straight yes or no question. If I'm understanding correctly,
Yeah,
it's
same kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost engaging them beyond to get them to essentially give you more information so you can actually facilitate what it is that they're looking for.
Yeah, and again, sometimes, not every single person will literally give you the example of what they're looking for, but I'd say 9 times out of 10, they will tell you why they're in the building. People don't just show up at our location or show up at the restaurant and, they're there for a reason. They want something to eat. They want something to drink, or they're here to look at just the new Pokemon singles we've recently purchased. There is a reason they're here, and just ask them why they're here. Then you can actually get to the point of why we're doing our job. We're here to help you. So I'd like to know why you're here so I can help you with it. It's too easy to just say, okay, cool, thanks, see you later, and walk away. And that's fine. Some places might want to run that. It's just not how we do it.
We're going to take a quick break from this podcast to talk about our sponsor, Cardboard Shuffle. Cardboard Shuffle was our 10th podcast interview here at the Match Slip with store owner Mark. Mark has expanded his brand and has produced his own card sleeves called Shuffle Shields. Shuffle Shields come in packs of 100 premium matte card sleeves for standard size trading cards. They contain no PVC and are acid-free. I have 17 packs of Shuffle Shields card sleeves to give away to listeners of the podcast and followers of the Match Slip on social media. Requests for a free pack of card sleeves shipped for free to you will be processed on a first-come, first-served basis. To receive your free pack of Shuffle Shields, you'll need to send a screenshot that you're following Cardboard Shuffle on Facebook to frank@thematchslip.com. Good luck, and back to the episode.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It's good for long-term customer value and retention as well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because if we have people who come in here, you know what I mean, and they know us by name. We know them by name. And it'd be such an interesting atmosphere. Can you imagine going into a McDonald's or some kind of fast food chain that's not typically known for great service, and you walked in, they say to you, "Oh, how you doing, Travis? Nuggets again, Diet Coke, and extra ketchup, right?" I would think that's instantly better than the 5-star restaurant that I get told, "Hey, it's an hour wait. Can you please wait over here?" But it's supposed to be better food, right? It's supposed to be better service, but it's not. So, yeah, learning those little things and teaching your staff that is very important. Yeah.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because there's a deli I go to every week. It's just like a tradition I do by me every Friday. I know the owner there. I know some of the employees that work there, and over time they've learned what it is I like. I mean, just to give you an example, even though it's not really, it falls in relation, but it'll essentially prove the point you're making. I once had one of the workers there that makes the sandwiches for people and whatnot talk to one of the employees and they recognized the order, and they're like, "Oh, doesn't he usually get such and such on this? Can you find that out from him?" That little thing alone. Yeah. It's that little thing alone that makes me always go back there.
And whether you actively remember these things or not, people do. Like I said, if your pizza always shows up late, you're just going to remember, oh yeah, that company, it seems to take forever, or it doesn't taste that good. But if that pizza was there immediately, if I immediately just hand you the blue binder to browse the blue Magic cards because that's your color, you're going to love that. You're going to walk in here and almost expect me to just start handing you the blue binder, and we will, because we know that's what you like. So yeah, there's definitely an element to just good customer service that people recognize, whether passively or actively. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the personalization. It almost goes off of that TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name thing. You
Yeah,
feel like you
yeah, for
belong
sure.
there.
I wish I could know everybody's name. We have a lot of people that come through, but I try my best.
No, it's
Mississippi
cool.
is a
You guys
very,
are doing a
very,
good
very
job.
handshake state, so I'm always trying to introduce myself and say hey.
No, you guys are clearly doing a good job. So, I mean, you could just see it from what you've described to me thus far. I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing all these things, and that doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to be honest with you. All of my kind of training, I like to think I've always been a kind of a fun person. I have a good personality, but a lot of my training, 99% of it came from these other owners through Papa John's. Again, these guys are hard workers. They literally do hours and hours and hours every day, nonstop, running multiple businesses. There's more than the Papa John's. I won't overstep my boundary talking about them, but I'll say they've done a great job with training me and really starting ground level, setting the idea of start with your customer, make them happy. Everything else comes from there. So that's where I've learned it, and I've taken their advice. It's clearly worked for our business, so I'm happy with it.
That's excellent. And like any business, and these are kind of like the topics that are the ones that I know people are intrigued by because it involves, the costs involved. What would you say is the most expensive thing to do in an operation that you're running? And has there ever been a time where you've potentially had to consider we might have to actually cut X from what we do?
Yeah, so I guess the only time we've ever cut something, it doesn't necessarily have to do with money. It would be more of just trends, fads, something just phasing out. Maybe in our area, there's just not enough people for it. Even, however much marketing I dump into it or demo nights to learn to play. Not every game is just going to stick, especially if you don't have, enough people in your area. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I wouldn't say any of them necessarily have to do with money. Yeah, just certain games that just haven't worked that we've tried, and they just don't function here. What was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
What is like the most highest expense that you incur right now that you have to deal with on a daily basis that may be one of the more unpleasant things, I guess you could say?
Man, I'd say maybe some type of toys or action figures. If I had to pick a genre or specifically an item, toys tend to have, for example, if you're just getting a Deadpool action figure, the rate on those toys, it's just not great, to be honest. It's pretty poor. But here's what's interesting with an item like that. So I might have this Deadpool action figure that says $26.99 on it, and we're only making, X amount of dollars. It's not enough to even warrant bringing it in. And you'd look at it and go, then why even do it? Well, I'd bring it in because the new Deadpool movie came out, and you want something Deadpool. So you start looking in the local area. Where can I get Deadpool toys? Oh, I'm going to go to Walmart and Target. And they're empty. They don't have any because it's popular. So then you come here and I have that action figure, and maybe you just don't want him. But then you see that we have Deadpool comics. You're like, well, that's interesting. I didn't know Deadpool had books out right now. I just thought he was a movie character because I'm just not up to date on what's happening. And then I realized, okay, well, there's a game called Crisis Protocol where I can play as Deadpool, roll dice, and run around and murder the other superheroes. But I need to paint those guys. So maybe I should go get some paint because paint would be cool. Then I see that there's paint. Oh, my God, there's little D&D miniatures. I used to play D&D when I was a kid. Now I'm going to get into a D&D comic or get the new 5th edition book. Oh, my God, Magic is a 5th edition crossover. Now I'm playing Magic. Wait, so it all was that Deadpool figure that doesn't make any money? Is that how we got here? So
that is a brilliant way to think about it because you're pretty much saying you're using one piece of the store, of a small, even if it's a small piece, and even if it is more of a burden cost-wise on you, you're still acknowledging, looking at cultural relevance. This is important right now in terms of it's in the minds of the consumer. So if I could use that as a proxy to get them in, then it could lead to them getting into other things.
Yeah, and typically, again, if you're just a sports guy and you come in here and I have no sports, you're probably going to come back once or twice, maybe a year, and just see if these guys have sports, and then I don't. And you think, all right, well, I'm just not going back there anymore. And then it turns out one day I do bring in sports, and I've just lost that customer. It has nothing to do with customer service. It doesn't really have to do with that we did a poor job explaining why we don't carry sports, which we do, in case anyone's listening to this. But by not having that avenue available, somebody is going to miss you and just think you don't have it. So I would rather have some of these not necessarily lost items in the store, but items that might not move as often, just for that one time that guy is looking for it. Or this mom's coming in and she'd love to get this coloring book for her kid. Well, I'm really glad I have coloring books for children, because she came to the right store. And then those kids grow up and they remember, oh yeah, Vans, I've been there forever. They have comic books and they've got Deadpool action figures. I just got to see the new movie. And then we're full circle again. So as long as your employees in your store realize this ecosystem of items, it's all the same thing. None of it matters, which again is what I'm saying. It's just customer service. It has nothing to do with the items. It's really how you deal with people. So by us then showing you that Deadpool figure and going, hey, also, do you read the comics? No, I've never read them. Come here, let me show you one real quick. That's it. That's all it takes. And then they try the comic and they love it. And you help them grow their hobby and enjoyment for Deadpool and his brand.
It's interesting too, because I love the fact that you guys do comics, because I know not all game stores do. At least the majority that I've talked to, some started doing it and they moved completely away from it. I think it's great to see that you guys are doing that too. And I know, like you mentioned, it does play into the customer service aspect of it. But from a store standpoint, would you suspect that the reason stores drop the comics, and I'm sure you've heard about this before, is it because of the cost involved with the comics and it's just people aren't buying them? I mean, comics have always been a part of my life since I was a kid, so it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah, I think there's a lot really happening with comics specifically, if we just chatted about that. For one, people like collecting tangible physical items.
Yep.
You can go read Marvel online, you can read DC online, and it's not the same as, sitting at home on a Sunday in your favorite chair, you got some snacks, maybe a drink, and you just get to read your favorite book and you just chill out. It's like playing a video game. It's your thing. So some people want that. The next piece would be maybe the collector's value. So some of these books that will come out, we charge you $3.99 for it, and you get a discount, 20% off, because you're a subscriber. So now I'm getting this book for below what it's worth, but then I go home that night and check online, and on eBay, this new Spider-Man book, it's $20. I just got it for $3.67 after tax with my discount. And there's a fun element of collecting to it where, oh my God, I just made money. And that's awesome. I love that people can make money on this book. I make my profit on selling you the comic. It happens with everybody. But it's cool when the customer can also make some money on an item or a hobby that they enjoy. Makes them really feel like their time and their investment in this thing was worth it.
Do the comics, like from your standpoint of buying them to then sell, they have the price tag on the comic themselves. You're offering the 20% discount. And I know the benefit of a pull list and having customers do that. Did you know from your end that that's money, almost in a way, I guess you could say money guaranteed? I know there are times, maybe the person doesn't come and get their books. But when you're giving that 20% discount off, does that cut into profits significantly?
It does, but in a weird way. If you had this option with really any single business where I could say, I have guaranteed people that will keep coming in this building if I just take 20% off. That's all I got to do. On a $4 book, I'm losing literally pennies, $1 or $2, maybe at the most. And they're going to keep coming back in this building. It's the best marketing ever. It's too easy. The only thing better than that is word of mouth. And hopefully those people tell their friends that we do 20% off and they get to save money and spend $3.87 on a comic and it's worth $20. Me, by giving you that discount, is 100% worth it, because you're going to come back. You enjoy your experience. You get something unique. So I think it's worth it. Again, we have subscribers. There's no other comic book store in our area. There's other places that you could attempt to go play gaming at, etc. But this is just a whole other level. It's no comparison.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing the long game essentially when it comes to the comics too. I mean, that you're giving the discount, but you're thinking about the recurring revenue that's going to come from that and the other potential people that might get brought in. That really takes that 20% discount, and from your standpoint of a plus and minus profit loss sheet, it really is negligible at the end of the day.
Yeah, and most people, to be honest, again, they're going to come in the building and say they get their 3 comics, or $4, $8, $12, $10 after the discount plus tax, etc. The average person isn't going to come in here and not see something else that they're like, oh, that's cool. Or, give me a drink too while I'm here. Let me grab an energy drink and, a chocolate bar, whatever it might be. It ends up getting made up in other areas as well. And that's where maybe they see, oh, there's a Deadpool action figure, and then they buy him because they just watched the movie and they read his comic. So it's not just 20% off the top. Oh my God, it's gone forever. It ricochets down the line so much further, really.
What has been, would you say, like the biggest selling item? We know the most popular game is Magic. Would you say the products sold fall in that same line of the most popular game, or is there maybe something that would surprise people listening?
So Magic is still the number one also sold. So it's our most played game. It is our most sold game. So if you take that out of the equation, I think the one that surprises me a lot that does very well, and this is crazy, it's also one of our most fun tournaments in the store. I cannot wait every Saturday for this. It is actually Beyblade. If you've heard this, you probably remember Beyblades when you were a kid. And we will have literally 20 to 30 people outside in the store, and we call it Beers and Blades, and they have beer and they play Beyblade. They're all adults. You'd think it'd be children. I wish it was children, but it's not. It's all people my age, people 30 plus, and they're drinking and having fun playing Beyblades like they were kids. And that kind of nostalgia, that fun, seeing these metal tops bouncing around an arena and exploding everywhere, that's an area of our store that does really well that you'd be surprised. Oh my God, these guys do, Beyblade, and it sells really well. Yeah.
That's cool. And are you guys open every single day?
We are, yeah. If we're paying for the rent, why not? Why would I close? It's crazy.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? I mean, like that's I'm glad to hear that. And I hope you don't. Do you have to work every single day, or do you have enough employees that you could?
So, the easier answer is I have 2 days off, but if I could never have to answer an email, phone call, some kind of question, that doesn't happen. So realistically, I'm always doing something. We're always in work mode, and I don't even care. Because literally, again, it's such a cool job. It's such an interesting thing to own and run and operate with the other owners and myself, between the customers, how fun they are. It literally doesn't bother me. I could be up here every day. We recently did a party. We did a charity event for one of our local teams in the area who plays Magic, and they wanted to travel. And we said, you know what? Yeah, we'll do some kind of event for you. And they wanted to generate some funds to go get some airplane tickets and travel. So we decided to do a 24-hour overnight shift for them. And all of the money went towards them. And we stayed open for 24 hours overnight. We did little carnival game kind of stuff in here with like rolling dice and winning cards. We just did tournaments all night and just gave the proceeds to them. Because why not? So, yeah, 24-hour shift was the longest I've ever done. I was tired at the end of it. I was ready to go home. Usually I'm not ready to go home. That one, I was a little tired, though.
Understandable. And I know that was only a one-time thing that happened, but it kind of ties in to my next question, which was, what's the biggest challenge you would say you've faced in running the store since you initially started to now? Yeah. Anything that stands out? Yeah, the immediate one is literally just new acquisition of people. So the hardest thing ever is finding a way to get to people to have them come in. So, for example, say you wanted to learn how to play Warhammer. I don't know if you currently play it yourself or not, but if you didn't, and I just said to you, do you want to play a game? Usually a game like Warhammer sounds very daunting. Everybody's heard of it, even Magic. We've all heard of Magic, Pokemon, but you don't know how to play it. So me being able to have to convince you that this is very casual, this is fun, you're going to enjoy it. Let me show you how fun this is. That's the hardest part, is kind of breaking through and getting new people to come in here who aren't in these genres, or they've seen it online or heard about it, or they've watched the anime and they're like, I'd love to play Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's too much money, or I don't want to get into it. Because on that point, I hear customers all the time. This is the number one most difficult thing about getting a new player is the Warhammer guys. They'll say, I wish I had new people to play with. I've got to get more people in the tournaments. There's only 30 of us. I wish we had 40 of us. And then the first guy will come in, and he's a new Warhammer player, and he walks into the aisle, and he's picking up some boxes and looking at it, and we're chatting with him. And one of the players comes over, and they'll go, oh, my God, you're getting into Warhammer? I'm like, here we go. Yes, let's chat. Let's all go. This is awesome. We're all playing. And then the guy who currently plays looks at the new guy and goes, get ready. It's so expensive. You're going to have no money. And then the new guy goes, never mind. I don't know if this is for me. So, yeah. It's hard to get new people. And sadly, we're trying to help our customer base get new people, but they like to
They like to sometimes get in the way a little bit. And I know they want to help, and I love that they help. But if you want people in your game, make it casual, make it fun, make it easy. That's the goal. Let people get in and play with you. And they'll figure out how much they want to spend and how much time they want to spend. Yeah.
I've never played it myself before, but I'm curious because you had me interested based on you saying, you'll play it and you're going to like it. And
Yeah.
I'm mostly just a Magic player. I pretty much only ever played card games. And I've never been one that's been, like, say, interested in, the role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons. That's never really appealed to me. But the Warhammer stuff involves the painting, I believe, correct?
Yeah, it does. So there's a lot of people who, and again, the reason why Warhammer does very well, even in our store and just in general as a brand, is it's very much collect, paint, play. And some people, they don't want to do all of those. They would just like to play, or they just want to collect. And that's awesome. We have so many customers who they just collect and build awesome, massive armies, and they'll come up here and show us their paint jobs, and I'll get tips from them on when I'm painting my stuff. Or I can chat with another guy about how his list is doing really, really well, and I just need to include a couple more tanks, or I should remove that sniper unit. They just don't work that well. That's what's fun about it, is there's so much to it. And really, to be honest with you, if you play Magic, it's just 3D Magic. Instead of having your goblin and you're casting fireball, I have to have an actual goblin on the table, and the fireball comes from him. So that's the same thing, and it's kind of cool when you get to see your army or your battlefield progress. It's very visual. People respond well to seeing Warhammer on the table. It's cool. When you see it the first time, you pick up those dice, and I tell you, hey, all you got to do is don't roll any ones, and you win. You're like, oh God, but I have 7 dice. I can't roll any ones. And then you roll them and you get no ones. And I'm like, congratulations. After 3 hours and all that fun, you just won because you did not roll a 1. It's really cool.
This episode of The Match Slip is sponsored by Crash City Con, Roanoke, Virginia's premier gaming and fan convention. It's tabletop gaming at its best. In addition to role-playing games, board games, there are vendors and so much more. Play with some of the top game masters in the area, enjoy a casual game in their open gaming area, or learn to play games you always wanted to play. You could check out more information at crashcitycon.com.
So what do you do in terms of marketing efforts to get interest around, whether it be Warhammer or something else? Like, what are some of the things you're doing at the moment? Yeah,
so, the easy one a lot of people will do is they'll just offer some kind of discount, where maybe it's just, hey, for this day only, all of these X products, they're X discount. Or there's a freebie that comes with it. I really like doing a style of thing that Magic did, and they kind of adopted this name called an open house, where if you are new to Magic, you would go to this store, myself included, any Magic shop, and you would go do an open house. And the staff would teach you how to play. You get a couple of free booster packs. And if it was something you enjoyed, you could continue from there and we'd help you further. You might do the demo, open your packs and go, that was cool, but it's just not my thing, because not every hobby is going to be for everybody. But offering some kind of learn to play, a free thing where just come in and literally let me just chat with you and show you the game. Sometimes we'll host these and there's only 1 or 2 people who show up. Sometimes there's 20 people who show up. And it doesn't really matter. I've had just as much fun when there's that one family who shows up and we get to show them, how do you play Digimon, the card game? And they love it. And they get their starter decks, they get their dice and their sleeves, and they go home and they don't intend on playing it here. And that's fine. They want to go home and turn it into a family game night. So we get this cool satisfaction that we actually sold you something you enjoy, and you're going to have fun with it and be able to play it with your family. So yeah, free demo nights. That's probably my suggestion.
It's a great idea too. Nothing makes it easier than making, less friction, easier barrier to entry to get people into those new games. So Travis, as we get towards the end of the interview here and we start to now reflect on, all we've talked about with the store and how it's grown and things you continue to plan to do, I wanted to talk about a little bit quickly of the future plans you have for the store, as I know you alluded to expanding being potentially one of those areas. So if you wanted to elaborate more on the expanding, or if there was something else on top of your mind for the future, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Dave & Buster's?
I have.
Yeah. Our goal pretty much in Jackson, Mississippi is to be, the entertainment depot. I'd like to offer a bit of everything. I want a 21 and up date night. I want a restaurant and bar. We want mini golf. We want laser tag. I want to have arcade. I want to have the comic book store, the card game stuff. We want to do all of it. We probably will do all of it. It's more than likely going to happen. So the next one we're trying to do is the arcade. And I think it's going to be interesting. I really want to make a fun date night where maybe this is where you pregame, this is where you end. Just something fun to do. Get out with a group of friends, stand around some tables, have some good food, have some awesome drinks, great atmosphere, play old school arcades, play new school stuff, hop in a Mario racer cart and spill your drink everywhere. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But yeah, that's probably our next goal is to add the arcade. And we're pretty close to doing that and pulling that off. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. And I wanted to know if you could describe a little bit, and I know the operation you're running is big, but if you could describe your store a little bit for somebody who's never been to it like myself, if I'm walking in the door for the first time, if you can give me a little bit of a visual picture.
Yeah. So when you walk in, the store is very wide. It's a giant square. Yes, I'm just making sure it's not a rectangle. It's a giant square. As soon as you come in, we have kind of a very open space, and directly in front of you, about 5-10 feet in, you'll see the bar, and it has kind of some scheduling stuff on it. It has drinks on top of it, so you can see, hey, go ahead if you want to start here. This is kind of an easy centralized location. You can stand around it, take a look at the store. If you look to your right at the bar, you'll see all the gaming. So we have all the gaming tables on one half of the building. So whether you're doing war gaming or card gaming, paint stations, so you can sit there and paint and build, all of that is to the right-hand side. All the shopping is to the left. So we have zones for just anime and manga, Western toys and figures, the comics, new comics, old comics, the back issue stuff, board games, full Warhammer selection for all of their variants that Games Workshop does. As you move further to the back, that is where our register is. And we have a giant wall. Like I said, it's probably 16 to 20 feet, somewhere in there, if I remember off the top of my head. And it goes, oh man, I don't know, 12, 15 feet up in the air. It's massive. And it's just covered in every card game. One of the biggest compliments and things we hear from people who are into card games is they'll walk to the back, see the wall, and they literally just stand there and look at it. And they're like, I don't even know what I want to ask for. Which is why we really try to tote the customer service part so I can help you figure out what you're looking at, because it's just everywhere. The graded comics are there, and that's kind of the building. It's just a giant square divided down the middle. The right's all gaming, the left's all shopping.
Awesome. And my final question for you, Travis, is I wanted to give you this chance here to reflect on all you've done, all you plan to do.
Yeah.
What is it that about what you're doing at this moment in time that's making you loving it each and every day? Because I can tell your passion for it is very genuine.
Yeah. Honestly, it's literally, I think my favorite thing, and it's also with adults, but I really, really enjoy when a family comes in and, you know, the kids are running. I have 2 kids myself. They're screaming and running, and the mom and dad are like, oh, don't touch that. And I just go, I don't even care. Grab whatever they want. If they rip it, they break it, it's whatever. And having the parent realize that kind of energy, that literally this store is meant for fun. That is the only thing we sell. As soon as I get to see them realize that, that's the most, rewarding piece, to be honest with you. Because then they get their pack of Pokemon and they did good at school and they're so excited. And then they open their pack and they get the card they wanted. And it's such a cool experience. Because literally we just get to sell fun. The items, you can buy any of this on Amazon. You can buy any of this stuff on eBay. It doesn't matter. So why would you come here? You're literally coming here because we sell the fun. You don't play Magic on Amazon. You don't build your Gundam with some AI on Amazon. You're playing with us. You're building with us. You're chatting with us. And that's the fun of the job. That's why I love it.
Well, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed hearing about the store. I cannot wait to come and visit it. Yeah. So before we wrap up, if you could just share a little bit about where people can get in contact with the store, where they can connect with you, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so all of our stuff is at VANCCG, VANSCCG. So whether it's TikTok, our Instagram, Facebook, our Discord, all that's just at VANCCG. You can find us on there, and we'll post, weekly videos of, fun events we're doing in the store, upcoming products. Our Discord is probably my favorite piece we have, because we have it labeled with channels for every single game, a new product section, everything, which makes it really easy that if you're like, oh, I wonder if they got, that new paint set in from Vallejo, you can go there and click new products and see everything cool that comes in. And usually every day, it's literally like hundreds and hundreds of items. It's insane. So yeah, Discord, definitely check it out. TikTok's pretty cool. I can't take credit for that. I don't make the TikToks. I come up with some of the ideas, and I have some of my talented crew do all that. But it's not me actually filming those. I wish it was. TikTok is its own skill set.
It definitely is. Well, Travis, thank you again for coming on the show. I'll be sure to put a link in the show notes here so people can connect with the store. Thank you again for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Take care, everyone.